Hi friends, today I wanted to talk about my business trip to Hiroshima. I was on the past 2 weeks and it was very fun, very different experience from my office work here in Tokyo. So my company has a factory over in Hiroshima and it's in the mountains and it's just surrounded by nature. Very peaceful, tranquil location. I love it. And because it's in between the mountains, it gets hot definitely, but also I don't know. I guess the visual of the surrounding makes up for it. There was this little mountain that especially kind of looked like Totoro's mountain, so I really liked that area. But anyways, the location was very different because I think the main difference between the office here in Tokyo and the factory in Hiroshima, I think, was because one's a factory, of course, and the other is an office. So already you have very different work culture there. But also, I think um, the region, the Tokyo region versus Hiroshima region, has a bit of a different cultural nuance too. And I felt that maybe I saw a little bit of that in my interactions with the factory workers there. Uh, and there are lots of things that I wanted to talk about. I think half I forgot, but two topics that I definitely will remember and I wanted to bring up today was one was about my interactions with certain individuals. They were more higher up over at the factory, but I I noticed that some of them came out of the way to pay their respects to me, to say hello to me, I guess, because of who I am. And of course, I think they would have done the same to other guests anyway, or other maybe fellow employees of my company had come to Hiroshima. They would have treated them the same. But I definitely noticed that a few had really kind of emphasized their presence to me in a way that was not usual. And so for me, I wasn't sure how to react appropriately because my goal, especially because I was a low profile on this business trip. I was only there for a translator for a bigger project. So I shouldn't have had that much significance in part of the work there, but and yet being treated like that, I felt kind of awkward because I didn't want to be so forward when I wasn't going to be a big part of the work. But at the same time, I don't want to disrespect those who really want to greet me and say hello to me. So I was trying to figure out how to manage that. And, you know, I guess the main point is just don't make it weird. Say hello, say thank you, and just talk, small talk. And there's nothing wrong with that. As long as I think that there's something wrong with it, I think that's when it gets weird or inappropriate or not good. So that was what I did, and I wanted to share that. The other point that I wanted to talk about was the drinking culture. I got to kind of experience the Japanese drinking culture, where, especially the more classic, I guess, factory worker drinking culture, maybe. I don't know if there's a huge difference, but I don't go out to drink much. Um, but it was fun. Uh, there were certain individuals at the factory who actually had a very thick wall. I think that's how I would put it. So typically, people in Japan, I think, as a default, have have a wall between them and any new stranger they meet. So it's very hard to get to know them, to understand them, because they hide behind this wall. And some of the workers at the factory had extra thick walls, I think. And regardless of who I was, they put up that barrier. It wasn't that I couldn't work with them or anything. They were very appropriate, professional, helpful, very good at communicating. No issues there. It's just I could tell there's a wall. And I got to drink with some of those individuals that night. But what was really interesting was, for me, from my experience at least, when there's someone who has a protective barrier that they put up, I feel that most of the time they are very careful about who they're with when they're drinking, because if you get drunk you kind of open up and you might not want to show yourself to others, and that's why I feel that they would be extra careful. And yet these individuals who I felt a barrier with, I sat next to them at the drinking event after work, and they drank without any worries and then opened up, and the alcohol was like a key to their wall. And it was fun talking and interacting, getting to know them differently, where they were very open. And so for me, what I realized was that maybe for them, no, it's not good to assume. I don't know. It's not make to good, because I only interacted with them, went out to drink with them a few times, so I don't know them enough. But what I was thinking of going to say was that maybe it's just they don't know how to speak to strangers openly right away unless they have alcohol. But that's a huge assumption, so I'm not going to make that assumption. Um, Anyways, the next day, I wasn't sure how they would interact with me, and they were back to the barrier up, and I found that really kind of funny, and I laughed to myself after that. But it wasn't bad, and it was very pleasant working with them, all of them. I had fun, and because it was a 2 week trip, came back here to Tokyo once in between during the weekend. But when I went back again, I found that I think I had broken down the barrier with some of those individuals the second week, because I had built a little bit of trust by working with them the first week. So uh, I did notice a little bit more leeway in how they communicated with me. But I don't know. I found that all these various experiences I had while working over there, very invigorating, very stimulating, very different, and fun. And I hope to be able to go back again soon, although sadly I don't think there's work for me there right now, but you never know. But yeah, that's what I wanted to share with you today. Thanks for listening. Ciao.